on to our final presentation, one of our Lego winners, Alesia Braga, on leading through change, merging two marketplaces in public. So to Alesia.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Thank you for sticking till the end. I'm basically your last stop between the beer that's going to get announced. So let's see if you're paying attention, if you're reacting to questions. Let's go a bit personal. How many of you have kids? And now young kids, like below 4? Oh, you're going to relate to that. I really wanted to be here last year, but I was busy having a child. So now she's 1. And the things that goes through my mind is baby-proofing the house. You just heard the house renovation story. It's kind of tough. I'm not going to attempt to solve it, but think about merging your living space with all of the toys that you constantly step on. They're completely everywhere. Like for me, it was personally very overwhelming feeling. And my kind of knee-jerk reaction was I just want to shove it on one side, cover with a blanket, don't see it, and call it a day. That's what we do sometimes with bad code as well, for being honest with ourselves. But then you also know it's never going to work. Your child will crawl there and uncover the toys and give it a couple of hours. It's all going to be around you. So it doesn't work. And what I kind of learned is like sometimes you need to stop yourself and focus and think. How can you co-create a certain environment that works for you, for your children, that you can also chill? And kind of like having this merging experience. And today I want to share a story about merging companies together. A much simpler one than baby-proofing the house, if I'm being honest. But if you solve that challenge, great. And I think one of the most crucial and often overlooked component of the merger that it's not just smashing things together and hoping for the best. And had a conversation about PE of, one company is being bought and another one, and 1 + 1 needs to be 3, and you're a CTO, you need to come in and make that happen. So it's quite of a challenge, and in my career, I was mostly a scale-up CTO, so my latest role, I took on kind of the transformational role at Cint. And the challenge here is how to deliberately to take pause and assess and create a new story that emerges, that is more meaningful and more relatable than any of the origins, and kind of order them as well with it. So, and now I need to get a clicker to work. I was told to point there, and it doesn't. Here? No. There? Up? No. Okay, that just takes a while. So, a little bit about me, so I kind of feel like I need to give a little bit of context. I'm Chief Product and Technology Officer at Cint. I've been there for almost 3 years. And Cint, I'm sure you haven't heard, unless you're James there on the back, is a global leader and... Oh, we have another one. Fantastic. Thank you. This one should work. Cint is a global leader in research and measurement technology, found in Sweden and Stockholm in 1998, like a current teenager would say, in late 90s last century. Been there around the block. You can think of the code quality, it's state of the art. But now at Cint, we develop solutions for market research and advertising industries, where we help companies to collect opinions and insights directly from humans in 130 countries in the world. And we do this by building technology for researchers and also for responders that go to our platform through 800 plus suppliers that are integrated to our platform. So the complexity, technical complexities is there. And we also help measure customer satisfaction, brand health. So there's quite a lot of application there. It's not just pure research and quite a lot of verticals. We say that we feed the world's curiosity, or intend to. So that's kind of our purpose. And in the last 4 years, Cint did a series of acquisitions, 3, 4, one of which was a similar size competitor that made the whole challenge kind of interesting. So we started transforming our narrative and creating this transformation. So today I want to talk to you about this lessons learned, what we've done, what we wish would have done, so you don't have to do it, maybe, or if someone approaches you for a transformational challenge or joining any particular company, you kind of, with your eyes open, know what they are talking about and what they will be asking you to do. So, I like books, right? So let's create a story. And in chapter 1, particularly complexity within Cint, is we're talking about marketplace. So there's all of the different buyers, suppliers, everybody uses your platform in a different way, and have several types of interactions with you. But in any merger, even if it's complex, even trying to understand what they use and how they interact with you, there's always kind of 3 larger pillars to think about when you start approaching this. And first is, it's kind of like the narrative, the business, the story is, what do you offer? You can't just take one plot line and another one, merge it together and expect it to work. You kind of need to create a new vision that will speak to all of the customers that you have. And combined in general needs to do something more, something better. And what we've seen that our customers had a lot of anxiety in terms of on the merger, like they've seen us as a trusted partner, one or another company. So now what's going to happen with it? Do I have a trusted partner or not? And we all have vendors. You're all tech leaders. You all work with different technologies. And what happens if the leadership changes there or they change any certain policy? What I do, I was like, okay, I need to look for alternative, right? So, but for business in general, that poses a quite huge risk, revenue-wise as well. So you're kind of like on the run. You need to solve this problem for them before it's too late. So what we had to do here is to map every feature, every functionality that some of the users were quite anxious to lose and relied on day to day towards customer value, and created kind of almost a new offering altogether. And this transformation you cannot just do alone. And people would expect a tech leader to do this alone, but it actually goes much deeper and touches the whole company. The second component, you can control technology. So this is basically on how you do things. So I think the biggest challenge for us there was different platforms, different code bases, different hosting solutions, different clouds. Which one is better, and quite often there isn't a better one. So every solution is better at something, be it efficiency or more elegancy, or you have more engineers or whatnot. One of the things that we had to do, and that was quite eye-opening, is we actually had to pause all development on all legacy products. And it was quite long. Why? Because you can't promise innovation on both of the legacy platforms when you do not know where you're going. So we had to go and recreate this data structure, data model that would serve our clients in the future. And quite a lot of people were pissed. Like our internal people were pissed, our customers pissed, still pissed that we did it before. Honestly, I don't see any other way of doing this. Like you have to slow down, stop, think what you're gonna do, and only then with a plan forward kind of continue next. And the third component of the merger that is particularly challenging, and if you tell a story, it's about the characters who play in the story. And this is about your people. So what I had is 4 companies, 4 distinct cultures, 4 characters with their own villains, sometimes within the same newly acquired companies. Different ways of working, coming together and not working together. So you cannot just force the new culture on them. You have to invite them on the journey that this is what we create, this is what we keep. Be very transparent and say, I want this, I don't want this behavior anymore. And you are, like, this is the new culture moving forward. And it takes time and a lot of effort. So that's kind of the chapter 1 of the transformation. But we wanted to make it interesting. Cint is a public company. Anyone works in a public company? Oh, please. No? Okay, well, then I have to be it's going to be a bit of an eye-opening experience. A lot of people who work in private company, they want to go public. They just do not know what's coming there. Ultimately, in a public company, talking about books, right? Every plot twist, every introduction of new character, new player, it's all publicly judged. So if you think of writing your personal journal, imagine every page is being published on the next day. So every chapter that you do is being published and being judged by all of your readers. Those include your investors, your employees, your customers, and your competitors. So when you release a chapter and it's a failure, it cannot be undone really easy. And quite often, you have to change the whole narrative altogether and manage this. And you always have to be ready of what can possibly go wrong, how the audience will take it. And there's a whole bunch of rules on how to do that. But ultimately, the things that helped us keep us sane is being transparent, because it's really hard to lie and keep two different stories, and people will remember. Be agile, so you always need to have kind of the what's next and what are you going to do if A, B, C, and D, and be clear and communicate often. Right? So that's the part of the public company, but we can fill another 20 minutes on that. And I promised you some lessons learned, something that you should think of and maybe take away and kind of relate, which is not necessarily anything super transformational, but the first rule and the first thing that you have to think about is slowing down, is this realization that you cannot ship innovation and fix everything that you do. And if you've done refactoring your house renovation or whatnot, you cannot like put a new bathroom when there's no plumbing. Like, you have to say cautiously to all your stakeholders that we're doing this, but this is what it's going to cost, and set the expectations right. You also have to expect that you'll probably write some throwaway code, that it's the pragmatic way of moving forward, and you need to revisit on how fast you're going to do this and how your customers are going to take it. The second is customer first. As a technologist, it's quite easy to get bogged down on your tech choices or any certain things that you consider as a trade-off, but they're real humans that are going to use your trade-off, and you need to explain to them why you're doing this trade-off and kind of think empathetically, which we can do, but quite often if we focus on the solution, this is not the first thing that comes to mind. So if you have any sort of advisory boards, like encourage your engineers to join, encourage your engineers to listen to that feedback and build a solution for humans on another side. Think of a CTO of that company that is using you, because it's quite easy to relate to every single one of you, but when we're in front of a computer, it's significantly more complicated. Kind of related, test early and often. Don't wait for a perfect solution to release and then figure out how it's going to work. I know it's a perfect world, but ultimately, within the transformation, there's always going to be a low-risk customer segment that you can go and partner up with your commercial counterpart, with customer success, figure out what you're shipping, get this feedback fast, but then also listen to it. So those customers actually get and iterate on what are you doing and why you're doing this. Again, a continuation. Communicate and over-communicate. If you think that you said something enough, you need to repeat it again, probably several times, and maybe in a different way. And that goes not only for your people, for your peers, for your leaders, also for your customers. Just because you communicated doesn't mean that they paid attention. Maybe it was just a lot of noise, or they heard something else, or they're remote, or there are other people yelling at them. So this is extremely important, and also like bringing this empathy in on figuring out what are you telling to your customers about your plan, about your change of plan, how your plan changed. And again, this is a cautious effort, and quite often it's being underestimated. And last but not least, hope for the best, plan for the worst. Migrations and in general any certain transformation is always very, very tough. I know we all get estimates, and some people say they're bad, and eventually there are some certain deadlines, and yes, you'll double them, and guess what? You're not going to make that deadline even if you double them. So it's about building resilience on, for everything that is going to go wrong, that you can come out of it, learn, and iterate. And that will help you build a resilient organization that can, independently what investors, whoever said, and whatever happens, can come with an action plan and get on another side of it to write the next chapter. So here we are, the story to be continued. We've built, I don't want to call it a Frankenstein, but it's a very, very different storybook that holds the history of all of the origins together, but yet allows us to write what next as a foundation. And for our customers, it hopefully means that they trust us with the transformation and continue trusting us with the product. And for us as a team, it's nice to have a foundation to continue building our story next, and not only have like patches and quick fixes. And if I'm being honest, there's still like the bunch of toys covered with a blanket somewhere around certain areas, but eventually we'll go and uncover it because we built that resilience to deal with it. And that's all I had.
That's good.